Hello and welcome to Create a Fab 2023. These are 3 workshops, all in one video, for you to get the most out of your new year. There are 3 ways. First, word of the year. Second, vision boards. And third, create a legacy. The word of the year starts with a special guest, Pat Dearbaugh. Let's hear what Pat thinks about creating words of the year.
When was the first time you selected a word for the year?
It was at book club on your suggestion that we come up with it, and it took me a long time, the first time, because part of the journey with you is that you expand my mind to think about different things, but I'm not usually that way. So when you asked me the first time, I think it was probably 3 years ago or so, and my first word of the year was choice, because I'm a firm believer in that you don't get to pick sometimes what life throws at you, but you do get to choose every day how you react to it, either positively or negatively. So that one, thinking about and choosing that word choice, made a lot of things fall into place for me, from a lot of different avenues too. That my daughter's gone through an ugly divorce and she has to choose every day how to face that, or my health issues or whatever. I don't get to choose that I have cancer, but I do get to choose how I react to it. So choice was the first one.
Awesome. When you heard about that, obviously from me, I guess, when you heard about choosing a word for the year, what were your initial thoughts?
I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to distill my thoughts, because obviously I talk a lot. So to pick one word, because first what I thought was, well, I have a ton of words, but then to distill that to one word was difficult for me. But I'm so glad I did it, because now I feel like I know what the process is for me to go through those words and pick another one, for last year or this year or whatever. I thought it was initially I thought I can't do this. And then I came to realize I can do this. And I love that vision, or that, whatever you want to call it, in my head. Because I think about it a lot now. What am I going to choose? How to face whatever life throws at you.
Now, did you have any ahas or breakthroughs when you did your word for the year that would compel you to want to do it again the next year? But were there any ahas or breakthroughs?
I probably wouldn't call them an aha, but for me, it's a breakthrough to think about it differently. Because I think the older you get, or for me, for sure, the more entrenched you become in your way of thinking. And those aha moments for me have happened mostly with you on our walks, because that's an inspiration to think differently, to look at whatever problem it is differently. And you tend to say creatively, which I feel I have no creative bones in my body, but it has opened that up for me to think more, whatever that word is, creatively, to think about it differently. But I don't know if I'd call that an aha, but it's definitely been powerful to me to deal with whatever comes down the pipe, for sure.
So you noticed a shift in your mood when you used the word, or does it shift your mood? Does it help you when things aren't going right or whatever? Is that something that does help?
Absolutely. Because I always think I can choose to be kind, or I can choose. You got those little devils, one devil on your shoulder and the angel on the other. I can choose which one I listen to. And absolutely, every day. It was very helpful. Every day. Because I have to choose sometimes which one has the voice. Sometimes the devil does.
And what about now this year, is your word choice or have you chosen a new word?
I've chosen a new word.
And what is
for
that?
this year, it is hopeful. And I'm hopeful I'm facing a new challenge health-wise. So I'm hopeful that that goes as well as it did the first time and that I'll be okay. So definitely hopeful for this year.
Do you have the word posted anywhere or do you have it anywhere to remind you?
No, it's just in my head. But I think about it a lot.
How did they appear or how did you cull it down to that?
That's a good question. I'm trying to remember back when initially, like I said, I was like, I don't know how to do this. Or when you had us to do the vision boards. I mean, some people came prepared, you know, with lots of things to put on it and whatever. And I was like clueless. I'm like, what the heck am I supposed to do now? You know, so that's not a normal part of me, of how I deal with things. But after having condensed it down to one word of choice, I'm trying in my mind to take away the trees from the forest and only see what is out there, only see, you know, all of the diversions and all of the everyday life and all of the things that come up every day that can divert your attention to it, to being more mindful that I am in control. And it did make me have a feeling of more in control of my life, that I can choose to be kind or to not be. I can choose how I face this health issue. And, you know, that condensed maybe to being hopeful in every day, no matter what. And I'm pretty much, I know whenever you go to the doctor now, they always ask you these depression questions. And on a scale of 1 to 10, I've always pretty much been a 9 or a 10. I don't have those feelings. I mean, yeah, I will go in a closet sometimes. When I first got diagnosed with cancer, I had one day, you know, that I went in the bathroom and I just sat and cried and cried. And then I got up the next day and just kept going. And that for me is the only way I can deal with it. And I feel like I do. I don't want to be that person that puts their head into the cover and woe is me and why didn't this happen to somebody else? Why not me? You know, but I also have been blessed with a multitude of family and friends that I know are there for me. I mean, we have long-term friends for, you know, Wes and I have been married 49 years this year, and we've had friends that long together as a couple, you know, and my family, I mean, I have all of that support too. So I've never felt alone. I've never felt those feelings of I don't have anyone. And that's where I draw, for me, my inspiration. And I think sometimes when you do have a health crisis or something, it very quickly distills. That's a good word that I use, right? Distills, because my husband makes moonshine. So anyway, it distills how you need to get through the day. And for me, I needed to know that my kids were going to be okay. And then through them, that my grandkids were going to be okay. And for me, the best medicine, the way I get through the day is being around them as much as possible. That's why we go to North Carolina 6 months out of the year, so we can be with our son and those grandkids. And then I have 2 grandkids here. So that's what gets me through the day, is knowing that they're there and that they're going to be okay. So did I answer that or not? I sometimes I get lost in the answer. I forgot the question.
Oh, that was good. That was good. Because it really is, you know, when you have a word that, you know, does it appear to help you also shift a mood when you are, and you described how that decision you could be, you know, choosing, but you had the hopeful or not. I mean, you can, you know, when you put it out there that way, it can be such a good distraction. And I liked how you described that. Yeah, no, I think that's very true. And the word is also, I think you had mentioned, I'm not sure if you did or not, but inspirational. And getting you to think new thoughts and be more inspired when you think I have choice, as in last year, and then I can be hopeful or not. So the idea, I think, of inspiration comes in there as well for the word of the year. At least that's what I think of it as. And some people have also said the intention as well is behind the word of the year, that you have the intention to be hopeful, then that's going to be attracted to you from all kinds of different sources because you are putting out the
I
intention.
totally believe that.
So that I was thinking.
And then another part of that, distilling what you feel when you have a health crisis, just for me, that's a big part of my life. It very quickly, you realize I don't want negative in my life. I don't want negative people, and I don't want negative thoughts. I want hopeful thoughts. I want positive people, because another core belief that I have is you don't necessarily get to pick what life throws at you. And there again, your only choice. And also to be grateful of, if I go tomorrow, but nobody has that guarantee. I mean, I could get hit by a bus on the way home walking from here. So no one has that guarantee, but to make every day that we do have and understand that it's a blessing. And then to be in that space of being grateful for your life, because if it ends tomorrow, I've had a good run. I've had a great run because of those people in my life. And for me, it all distills down to the people in your life. And I've been very, very, very blessed with family and friends and people. And I think too, a lot of it is because I try to be hopeful and I don't want to be a downer all the time. And I'm kind of not putting up with that anymore. That's not in my life. If you're going to be a downer, okay, I'll spend time with somebody else. But yes, but I think the gratitude of every day is so important too. Because you can be that whether you have 10 years or 100, doesn't matter. Once you reach that point of gratitude for every day, then I think that's a life well lived.
Isn't that wonderful? Now think of it for you, the word for the year. Let's get started with just a quick review of some things to help you. And one of the things is to review the past year. What kinds of things happened? What did you think, would have been something that would inspire you during tough times, or things that have been happening? How did you react to them? Consider any limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs are those that are really deeply embedded that you really don't even think about on a regular basis. But it could be, I'm too old. I don't have enough money. I, don't have someone good in my life. Whatever it is, there are limiting beliefs that are buried deep that keep us from enjoying our lives every day. Meditate to see what words come to mind. Just see what pops in. Decide between motivational or for accountability. Motivational means something like joy and hope and all, and accountability is more like determined and tenacity or courage. And be ready to step into a future that is purposeful, because once you start having this on your shoulder, as Pat mentioned, on either shoulder, hopeful or not, courage or not, there's so much fun to think about it and lighten that load of whatever you're dealing with. Ideas to discover your word include have fun brainstorming. Just write a bunch of things down, see what comes up. Listen to your intuition. When you do brainstorm or when you do have ideas that pop up, does it make sense to you? And feel it in your gut or in your heart. Choose one that creates a strong positive emotion. What gets you going and makes you sit up a little straighter in your chair when you think of it? So here are some: courage, determination, love, enthusiasm, hopeful, right? Next, make it visible. Put it on your laptop screensaver, add it as your phone lock screen wallpaper, find a way to display it on your desk, use a reminder on your calendar every day, write it on a Post-it note for your bathroom mirror. Is that a crack up? But think about where you will visually see it. Now, Pat just remembered her, she said, but I always like to have it out and about so I see it and I remember why that word was so important. Finally, to start a journal. If you are a journaler, think of a year of living with whatever your word for the year is. Year of living with passion, year of living with heart, a year of living with courage, a year of living with joy. So think about the ways that you can also work with it even more to give it that chance to embed itself in your psyche and your spirit to make you feel better every time you bring that word up. And it was just like you heard from Pat, the idea is that, you know, she can be hopeful or not, she can be courageous or not, you know, those things that you know come at you during the year, your word of the year can help you overcome. Great, now let's go on. Vision boards. My special guest is Cindy Ketcherside.
When was the first time that you created a vision board?
Wow, first time, it was actually quite a while ago, years ago. I think the first time I probably did it was maybe 10 years ago, probably 10 years ago.
And what was the point of it at the time? And even why did you do the one more recently? What was it about that process that you decided you wanted to try?
I think when I first did a vision board, it actually it was like putting down goals in pictures. So instead of going through the strategic plan and having the goals and objectives like you do in business, it actually took my personal goals and I actually found pictures and words that meant something that I was then able to refer to and see all the time versus opening up a document and reading a document and going, oh yeah, that's my goal. And oh yeah, that's the way I'm supposed to do it. It's just powerful to be able to see pictures, see words, and it's in a place, and I currently have my current vision board in a place that I see regularly. Do I see it all the time? Yeah, I probably see it at least once a day because it's right near my printer, my fax machine in my office. And I'm there all the time, and it just happens to be a spot where I'm either loading paper or printing something or getting something in by fax, and I see it. And so I think it's the visual context that helped me both personally and professionally to see it visually versus just seeing it in words on the document.
Makes sense. Have you had any ahas or breakthroughs from having a vision board?
You know, I think the aha on a vision board is that it is always there. So it becomes subconscious, you know, because I'm sitting here looking at mine right now, feeling good, letting the adventure begin, sparkle, shine on, refresh. I'm seeing that every day. So it's just like a mantra, and it becomes subconscious that then things start happening. You know, you may not be starting out your day with this, oh my gosh, I'm just gonna go for it today. I'm just gonna accomplish all my goals but then you just see this words, feeling good. Oh, okay. I mean, and it subconsciously works on you. So I think the aha is seeing something every day becomes part of your subconscious. And if it becomes part of your subconscious, it becomes reality for you that day. Because that's what you have to focus on is just today. What am I doing today to feel good? What am I doing today to let the adventure begin? What am I doing today to be able to have powerful solutions? All those words and pictures that I put on my vision board, it just gives you that reminder daily.
Nice. And so your vision board is there in your office right by your desk or it's somewhere close to your desk and you see it every day?
Mm-hmm.
Now, with that in mind, have you noticed anything on it that you've looked back and it's already manifested? It's already come, you know, some dream or thing that you had wanted that's already come true?
You know, I would say, you know, I'm looking at one of them and it says reconnection with family and friends. And probably the biggest reconnection that's happened for me is with my brother. You know, with the death of my dad and reconnecting. Would I have ever thought when I did this vision board that my dad was going to pass away in August? I didn't. That wasn't even in my plan when we did this vision board. But it was through that connection of my dad becoming so seriously ill and sickness and COVID that it had a reconnection with my brother that I haven't had because I had to be in constant communication with him. And through the communication of my dad, other things came out. What was happening with his family, what was happening with his wife, what was happening with his kids. And that all worked into the conversation that by the time my father passed, I probably knew more about his children than I had known in decades. And it was all part of that. So I would say reconnection with family and friends. And again, in my subconscious would have never thought that that would have happened this particular year.
Very interesting. That's good. You mentioned it a little bit, but does it have the opportunity to shift your mood when you look at it? Do you, when you said some of the words that are on it, you did seem to get, a little bit more upbeat, but does it shift your mood? Do you look at it to help shift a mood as well?
I can't say that I look at my vision board to do that. I do actually other things to be able to lift my mood and to be able to make sure that I'm there, and part of that to me is prayer. And when I'm feeling heavy, when I'm feeling off kilter, when I'm feeling depressed, or when I'm feeling things that are not going right, and I want to focus on and I want to focus on negative, it can be that. I first start with prayer, but I also believe vision board is part of that, because my prayer, if I look at that and I say reconnection of family, that happens within prayer, and that also happens within my vision board. So I think those all work together. And again, I just think my vision board is a subconscious way. So I can't say that I go to it to be able to get into a good mood. I just think subconsciously it's there doing that for me.
Nice. When you started to do your vision board, do you remember, especially for this last year, and of course it was pre-COVID, but what kinds of things did you think about as you went to put your vision board together?
More of what did I want out of life? What did I want to get to this year? What did I want to get to in 5 years? So it was kind of family, personal, business, and in each one of those, what did I want to do? So personally, fitness and fun, and making that fun. I wanted that to be it. I wanted to refresh myself. Family, again, that reconnection, that was big for me in family. In business, powerful solutions. And so I saw those words, kind of thought about it before we started doing the vision board, and then got into magazines. And by having what I wanted to do and what I wanted to accomplish, or what I wanted to be this next year, those words came out, those pictures came out to me quite readily when we started looking through different magazines.
And with the idea of, I know some of the words that you mentioned, you have you have a mix then of words and pictures from going through there, instead of, only pictures or only words type of thing. So you have a mixture. And with that in mind, did you organize the board in any way? Or is it kind of...
Looking at the board, and I see that the main thing for me, if I want to go to my peaceful place, is always around a stream, a lake. Usually the sun is out and it's got trees and grass and all of that. Well, I found a picture that is a really good peaceful place for me. So basically how I organized it, and didn't realize I was doing this, because first you just cut everything out, and then once you cut it out, then I started organizing, and I actually organized around my peaceful place. So the main picture started in the middle, and everything worked out from there. So I guess did I subconsciously organize it? I can look at it now and say I must have, because that would be exactly where I want to start every day. In my peaceful place, and where can I feel most joy, most peace, most tranquility, and start from there and work your way out.
Awesome. That's interesting. And it is interesting that it came out that way, and you really didn't intend it necessarily in the beginning and how it worked out that way. That's awesome. And do you like the exercise of doing a vision board?
Yes, I like the exercise of doing the vision board, and I think it's extremely helpful to do it with somebody, not by yourself. I think it is a shared event versus I'm going to do this on my own events. It really is. It could be one, it could be two, it could be three, but I think that they have to be people that are significant somewhere in your life. Are they significant with a friendship? Are they significant in business? Are they significant personally? But doing it with somebody, I think, is really what you need to do. And just, I don't think I would have been as successful without having somebody there.
I agree. And I've done it with a bigger group, and I've also done it just with you. And I find it that same way, just really, I love to, the amount of conversation that starts because of it too. And, everybody getting into it, it usually gets people talking and excited and, thinking, because it is, just as you said, it's the things that you want to have transpire, but also how you want to feel. And you've said that a couple of times about how you want to feel peaceful and you want to feel that place that you can be that gives you that contentment. So I really love that idea. What about in terms of the last one that you did years ago? Have things shifted and changed how you approached it? Or do you think it was pretty much the same?
Wow, thinking back 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I think the vision board really was more along business, and then I filtered in family and personal. So probably a different approach. Had a strategic plan, knew where that was kind of, so I think that probably guided me more. This time there wasn't a strategic plan behind it. It really wasn't a business thing. So this is a little bit different than I would say, a different approach. So different 10 years ago than today. And I would say more because of having a strategic plan that guided my objectives and my goals, which actually fed into then finding that within a book. Whereas this time it was a little bit different approach.
Got it. And would you have any kinds of tips or suggestion for someone doing their first one?
This time I think it was very helpful for me to think about, where did I want to be with my family? Where did I want to be in business? And where did I want to be personally? So I liked, it was better organized this time than just organizing it around one thing, which happened to be business at that time. And then the other things kind of flowed out of it just because they happened. But thinking about that and just kind of getting yourself centered in all three of those areas, and then going into it, I think will help, because again, subconsciously, as you're looking through things to create the vision board, it'll happen. But you do have to have some planning in that. You do have to think about it. You don't just go in and just sit down and go, okay, so what's going to come to me? You do need to be able to have some thought into it before sitting down and actually making it.
Awesome. Okay, perfect. Thank you. That was awesome. And I think, to me, that was exactly what I wanted, is those kinds of thoughts about vision boarding, because I do think it's a really fun tool. Mm-hmm. And you related it so well to the difference of when you're in that business mode versus when you step out and do the more well-rounded. It sounded more well-rounded, your second one, in terms of family as well as business, as well as personally, what did you want to be doing? That sets it up really nicely, because I think that is something that a lot of people get into because they are in the career mode, and that takes so much of their energy and time and thought, versus as you get a little bit older and thinking a little bit more broadly about all three areas. That's a really good difference. So that's it. Perfect. Thanks.
Vision boards are fun. It's to get you dreaming, really. And just like you heard Cindy say, it's a powerful technique. Visualization is a powerful technique to manifest your dreams and reach your goals. And vision boards are collages of inspiring images, words, and phrases that represent your dreams or goals. So those collages of the imagery and all give that ability to embed it in your subconscious. Adding those images and words that elicit positive emotion makes your vision board even more effective. And as you heard Cindy, you know, the idea that it does help motivate you or focus your attention. It does help you when you look at it and remind yourself of your dreams and goals. Now, the tools to create your vision board are very simple. Poster board, glue, and scissors. Or you can get a piece of paper and use it. You can also do it on your computer, on your laptop if you want to, and just, you know, imagine doing a collage on there is fine as well. But I really like getting those magazines out and getting different things out, printing out fun pictures and all that to put mine up. And here you can see that is mine, where I hang it right outside my bedroom door, and you can see it's really full, and every so often I stick more stuff onto it. So pull together those images from magazines, brochures, your own photos, find words, find really cool things, review your dreams and goals for next year, and begin cutting out those images, as well as phrases, words that inspire you toward them. Isn't that fun? And next, make it visible. Post it on a wall that you pass by all the time, like I do. Or you can pin it up on a bulletin board in your office, add it on an easel near your desk. If it's a smaller one, take a photo of it and save it to your phone, or have it as your backdrop on your computer screen. I mean, to me, I always have screensavers going, so that's another great place for it. And finally, some other ideas. Include your word of the year. If you're going to have a word for the year, make sure you include that if you're going to do a vision board as well. Consider quotes that motivate you. I love putting quotes up that every time I look at it, it reminds me of something that motivates me to do better, to achieve my dreams, to achieve my goals. Add self-affirmations to keep focus. Simple to just say a couple of good things about what you're dreaming of in the future, and write them down, then put them on your vision board. Create pieces of art or doodles that make you laugh, that represent something that gets that spirit of yours upbeat and happy, because that's another piece of moving forward, is having those emotions that are positive and uplifting to keep you going. And you can even use markers to write your goals up there. How fun is that? It's like being a kid again, cutting things out, gluing them, writing stuff. It's fun, but it's also a real value for the whole year to be able to look at that and remind yourself of your dreams and your goals. Now let's talk about the third aspect, the third exercise for creating a fab new year. Create a legacy. I'm going to have my friend, who's my special guest, Dedra Johanneson, talk about what she believes about creating a legacy.
What do you want to be remembered for? What do you want people to remember about you?
More than anything, I think I want them to remember me that I was always happy. I lived the best life I could, had fun. I didn't let something stop me, and I always was fearless. I just went for it. And that's what I want to be remembered. And that's what my kids talk about even today. How'd you get so fearless? Why do you do so much and you're doing more than we are? And I said, well, just pay attention,
Perfect. Have you thought about it as a legacy that you're leaving and what that is? And besides just being fearless, is there something else that you're leaving as a legacy?
The one thing that I believe in legacy, I know legacy is really about money. That's kind of how it's explained, but I don't believe that is all of it. Really, my legacy, I think most of my life I've always given. I've always given, whether it's money and time. I've always, probably just about every year of my life since I've been 17, I've donated some time. So I think more than anything, I know there's guidelines and rules, this is a legacy or this is whatever. I never go with the majority. I look at it from a perspective of, if I could give now, I'm enjoying watching it and how it evolves. And so a lot of the time I've given with so many organizations and so much money or time or whatever, I've really enjoyed everybody. That's probably why I'm so happy. And I don't think I'm the happiest person on the earth, but I feel extremely happy because I've balanced that portion of it. And why wait till I'm dead and gone to say, okay, and there's nothing wrong with it if somebody does that. But I feel that for me, the right thing is to be able to, oh my gosh, that person needs me right now or needs something. And I don't do it so that I can be acknowledged as much as I do it because I feel that there's a connection there. And I think we're all led there, but sometimes we hold back. So my legacy in reality is a lot of my wisdom. I make sure that, you know, when I'm talking to most people, I acknowledge them. I want them to, I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm not trying to, you know, I'm just being myself. And I want to be able to talk to them and hear them. And, you know, I think most people remember me by that because I've always sat down and listened, and I never had judgment about anybody because I've been in every part of each chapter of my life. There's been different things that have happened that put me in the worst situation, the best situation, and the in-between situation. So nobody gets out of here free. Nobody. So that's probably my legacy. But, you know, I did set up a will and things like that, like we normally do for my kids. But I'm hoping that, and I'm glad that they're the age they are now, because I've watched, and probably why my legacy changed many times is that I've watched what some children have done with the money, and it's not a healthy thing. And so, you know, how do you know what's going to happen or what's going to do? And you think, well, I'm dead and gone, it doesn't matter. But I think we give them more value if we give them the piece, every piece that they need to, when they need it, according to what you think. So.
Good.
How I feel about how legacy.
And it also sounds like you're reframing what legacy is for you. As you said, so many people think it's just money.
Exactly.
You're reframing it to what fits you and your family and how you want to be remembered. And one of the things I wanted to know, are there any things that you want to accomplish that will help define your life in the good terms? Do you have any goals or specific things that you want to accomplish?
You know what's so interesting, Nikki, is that one of the biggest things that throughout my life, I've always looked at it and said, oh my God, that looks exciting. And I researched and went after it. And so I've never really truly laid out a 5 or a 10-year plan, because I'll tell you what, every time you do that, nothing wrong with it, but there's a bridge, and that bridge changes your mind. And it takes you somewhere else, and it takes you to a better place. So yeah, I really do have a few things that I'm doing now with not even the hope, with, because I'm determined that right now I did create a website for, and it's called Mother Phoenix Rising. I did create that for women over 50 because I've watched how some women are stuck. They're stuck in different places, and you know, this is their best time, their best life that they could be living, and they don't know it. And I'm hoping, and I'm not even hoping, I know that we will, if we help 20 people, 20 women or 10,000 women, that'll be, for me, it's a lot of fun. I'm not doing anything in my life now that is not fun and that I feel compassionate and passionate about, because you know, after 50, we've all achieved so much, or as far as wisdom, but we're not using it. And we want to stay, you know, sometimes we stay stuck in that mud, you know, and get caught in there. And there's nothing anybody can do to change the past. Nothing. And if they can change the future and open a new door, I think it's going to be the most exciting time in their life, you know. So that part, I'd love to accomplish that. And like I say, I know that if I help 10 women or 10,000 women, it won't matter. It'll be the last piece of all the things I've done in my life. I've always gone with the thought of, I just want joy. if I'm doing it with joy and happiness, they're going to feel it. And then it helps them, you know?
Well, and how have you moved being stuck sometimes? Because you mentioned, a bridge, perhaps, as far as something new that takes you somewhere else, but very often a lot of us get stuck. And so what might be something about any limiting beliefs or things that have, gotten you stuck, and how do you move past them?
Well, I think there's, most of us know that our situations never stop us from doing anything. Our consequences, there are consequences for everything. But I think that most of us want to get caught in that. And we leave ourselves there because even though we don't know that, we're comfortable there for a little while because we need to feel the pain of what it feels. And when you finally say no more, you can get out because we're not, based on our consequences. Everything that we do are not because of consequences. There's because of choice. And each of us have a choice. And so the times that I've been caught for a little while, I just sat and did some meditation. I honestly looked at it and said, okay, what am I challenged with? Because most of us don't want to look on the inside. We want to look out there and say, okay, whose fault is it? Or why is this happening to me? I mean, there's so many people that I've even gotten calls and say, oh my God, things are going, nuts, what's happening? And it's not, we're all in the same place. We just go through different chapters. It's just the way life is. It's a challenge. Some of our things are challenges, but they're challenges to make us better. Because we call them challenges, they really are gifts. Every time we stop, and it doesn't matter if somebody stops for 3 months or 6 months to figure it out, we've taught ourselves that we need, especially women, we need to figure it out now, we better take care of it, we better do what we need to do, or we're not good enough, or we didn't take care of what we were supposed to, and that's not true. Most of the situations that I've ever dealt with, I just sat with myself and said, okay, write it down, Dedra, this is how you're feeling, this is where you're at, this is why you're doing it, and, I had to come to terms like, okay, I created this issue. And it's not an issue most of the time. It's something that I have to make that challenge. Okay, am I going to cross that bridge, or I'm going to wait here for another month or two? And what makes me feel comfortable about that? And so I don't beat myself up if I didn't go across that bridge for 3 months. I don't beat myself up if it took a year, because your body and soul will tell you, wait, it's not that time yet. Stand back. And when we stay back, we get concerned that we're not moving fast enough. We get concerned that we stop for a while and relaxed. We get concerned that we're not doing the right thing. And that's not true. Most of us need that time when you're just kind of marinating and finding your way back and thinking, okay, it's a challenge. That's fine. But nobody ever stays there unless they want to. And I know people will challenge that. But, when we get right down to the nitty gritty and ask some true questions, we all find that it's us that get in our own way.
That's really interesting. Now, one of the things when you were talking about that is, I got the idea of you saying the legacy is almost a gift.
Yes.
For, loved ones or whatever.
Yeah.
That there is that element of, what is the gift that I'm going to leave behind? And can you speak to that a little bit? Because that's what I'm hearing from you. And I think that's a really great way to package leaving a legacy, is leaving a gift. And what is that?
I think, for instance, like when my mom was sick, like for a year and a half or two, and I went to visit her for a week every month. And then each one of the kids stayed there for, 2 or 3 days. And, one of the things that my mom never lost her power. And the power to stay within yourself was huge. And she was 4'11", and I had 3 brothers. And they did not mess with her up to that last time. I mean, she called, I need you here now, and they would run. And what gives a woman that kind of power or that kind of respect is what it comes right down to. And I mean, they put her up on a pedestal, and they still talk about all the little things that she stood her ground. And I think that the wisdom that she showed all of us, like, don't ever come to my house acting like high hat, like you're better than anybody else. You go out, leave, and come back when you're, that's how you were brought up. And I think we have to get back to those bases of respect and appreciating the person for who they were and not what we're wanting them to be. And so I think from that piece of it, she sent me, to me, that's a legacy. My brothers and my family, when we get together, she has that. She has that, and it's really strong. And one of the books I'm writing, and I'm almost done because we're changing it into putting it online too. And it talks about, I am now the other woman in my own life. And it talks about her. I talk about the wisdom and the things that she left me will never be gone. And I've taught my daughter and son the same thing. And now I've taught my grandchildren the same thing. So it's cute because one day my granddaughter called me, and it was during this COVID thing, and she says, I got to get out of here. And she was 17. She says, my friend and I got to get out of here. And she says, I know you always talk about living a good life. She says, do you suppose you could take us to Hawaii?
Great.
The airline tickets are really cheap right now. And I says, honey, go look at them and tell me what cheap is. But they've adopted that part, live your best life. So when she left to go to college, I said, the only thing I want you to do is remember, live your best life. School does not change the fact that you can live that best life. So all those small things that I'm teaching them, even how to can food, all those things are never going to be forgotten. When they were growing up, I taught them how to make tamales, and everybody's got around the table. I taught them how to can foods. I took pickles and all stuff to, so the biggest thing I want them to do is be self-sufficient and give. Give to your neighbor. Don't forget the humanitarian portion of it. And I think that's a legacy in itself that nobody can take away. People can take the money, they can, and I'm not taking away from money, but that is not how I look at it, because when I do see that somebody does need and they are in need, there is no question that I have no issue with helping out in that nature. But my legacy will be more so in the times that I can look and say, I can swoop in and teach them this. And that's forever. That's forever. And I think that feels good for me. It feels amazing to me to be able to leave that because of what my mom did for me. And my mom didn't have a mom. She died when my mom was I think 1 or something. So I even appreciated it more because she became stronger and more powerful in her own right, because she knew she had to do it on her own. And she did what she had to do. And it was amazing, to be able to look at that from a different perspective. And I appreciate the good times. There was bad times with her too, because her and I, fought like this during those teenage years when we all get, stolen by the aliens. We don't know what happened. But it's just amazing to be able to feel strong and healthy and know that you've got the wisdom of so many things. And sometimes people call me, even my brother called me one time and said, what do I do for this? I'm really having a problem. And I took a picture and I said, go take this, do this. It's natural, because I'm really use a lot of the organic stuff. I don't usually do medicine, that kind of medicine. I do organic home stuff. And he said, oh my God, I've shared that with 10 people, and he owns a radio station. And he went on radio and said, this is what my sister told me to do, and it worked, and I want everybody to know that. So you can see how the wisdom of all of us, if we all did those kind of things, even if you, whether you leave a lot of money, a little money, or none, and leave the wisdom and all the things that you can, people, I mean, we would all change. We would all change because it's such an amazing thing to teach each other and help each other. And that's what I'm hoping to do with Mother Phoenix Rising, is teach women all these different things that they can do when there is an issue. You don't need a lot of money to do it. You just need your noggin, your little brain here, and it will be so, you know, it will be so amazing as to how you feel that you just gain that extra knowledge that you can pass on.
The gift. And I really like that because I think you are so right about people getting hung up with legacy being money and being something that, and I've fallen into that trap too, of thinking of it as, what am I leaving behind that will, you know, be kind of that milestone of who I was or whatever. And in reality, you're saying it's what the memories you're creating, which, you know, is that gift of your time, and maybe it's money, as you mentioned, but also of wisdom, and imparting that to others that they will then benefit and maybe pass along to their families.
One of the things that I did, and you know, my son was in cosplay, and they love that as part-time, as a fun thing. And they dress up all the time, and they talk me into dressing up with them. I am not going to do this. And then I thought, why am I not? Why not? And so I took on the whole thing, and it took me 6 months to put together the costume that we were going to do. And I'll tell you what, I've never had more fun. I have given them the gift that my son can't stop talking about. He said, I will never forget, moms don't do this. He says, I will never forget how amazing this whole program was. And then you came with us and made it even better. And so, you know, those are the things that we hold back thinking we're not supposed to do this. And I thought, no, I'm going to do it all. If it doesn't work, if it looked like the wrong thing, so what? Pull back and say that wasn't quite what I wanted to do. But I ended up doing 2 different costumes with them, and there was probably 10,000 photos taken of me that weekend. I never understood the magnitude of how big that was. And then it ended up, even one of the companies, I think it's Warner Brothers or Marvels, I'm trying to remember which one, because they're the ones that follow that, I don't, that they even used my photo as one of their advertisements in New York City. So, you know, how do you take that away? My kids would rather have that than the money. I know that. That's how much he loves. And he can't believe that his mom actually went out, put out this costume, did what she did. And to him, that's worth more than anything I could ever give him. No pictures, no anything. He has that strained in his memory. And so does my daughter-in-law. And so, you know, those are the things that I think I'm giving in a huge way. And I do that to a lot of friends and different people. You know, there's special times that you just want to just say, you know what? I can see where she's at or what's going on. I'm just going to do this. I don't want anything back. I don't need anything back. And a girlfriend once asked me, well, you did that for so-and-so. She says, what did you expect? What are you expecting back? And I looked at her and I said, I thought we were friends. I thought that's what we do. I didn't know it was any different. So, you know, we lose our way when we think we owe or should, you know, be giving something to get something back. I never thought that way. And the biggest thing, like my mom, you know, probably the last 6 months before she passed away, she didn't want to spend a dime because she wanted to leave something for us. And you know, maybe that's why even more is mom, no, you know, 'cause she even started eating less. No, I want to make sure my kids. And I thought, no. That's not more important. The most important is well taken care of. And then, you know, if anything's left, so be it, you know, whatever. But it's really important that we focus on what's really important. I think the legacy of you know, wisdom and love and joy. I mean, if you teach somebody that and be self-sufficient, done. I think we'd have a lot happier earth, the whole world, universe would be happier, you know?
Leaving that kind of legacy, right? Yes.
Right.
No, that's awesome. That's really it for what I wanted to try to just delve into to see your thoughts about creating that legacy. And I think that's really been awesome to make that differentiation too of when you are thinking about, as you get older, you do think, well, what am I going to leave behind? Who's going to care? What can I possibly do? And so much of it, as you said, is leaving something or money, something that is pointed to as it, rather than it really comes down to the memories and what you leave behind in your teachings or, your ideas for them to discover for themselves as well. And I really love that gift of yourself more so than of money and things like that. So,
Well, because I think that's how they're going to remember is, oh, remember when she did this and this and this? Because I heard my brothers, oh my God, if you did this, Mom would have killed me. And it was really a endearing thing. And they keep her up on a pedestal. And I do too. I mean, it's no different because it is what she wasn't about any part of money. It was about all those pieces. And the fact that she gave that to me, the power of, I'm not giving you my power away. I will not give your power away. And it is a really healthy, good thing for people, anybody out there, to be able to stand in their own, stand their own ground and live a good life. And like I say, we get caught, all of us do. Nobody gets out with a free pass. Nobody.
it's true. All right. Well, thank you so much. That was perfect and really enlightening for us to think about what is the legacy we're going to leave behind and helping us to define it a little bit better than to assume, like you said, that people think it has to be money or real estate or whatever things. And not that at all. So
yeah, I think in the future is not going to be about things. It's going to be about love and caring and, actually embracing who we really are.
Right.
Because all of us are going to leave that legacy of what you stand for. What you really stand for. What was your wisdom in all of it? I think that's what we're going to be remembered by, in the future. Because the kids right behind us are different. They're very different. And they're not how we've been taught, like this is the way it should be. Everything's breaking down and we're going to do it differently in the future. And I think reanalyzing something, every 6 months and saying, oh, is that going in the right direction as to what I want? Can't look at what everybody wants. You got to look at, is that what I want? So I'm excited about the future and continue doing what I'm doing.
How do you want to be remembered?
So let's talk a little bit about creating a legacy, the steps to take. The first is to try to imagine being in the shoes of your future self. What is it that you want to be when you grow up? Next, write down what your ideal life will look like. Just dream about it. What does it seem to be for you? And continue to write about the career, the romance, the location, the finances, and the details. Just go ahead and put all of that down so that you have it to look at and to also enjoy thinking how it might impact others and the beauty of experiences together rather than just money. And finally, feel the gratitude and joy as though this life is already yours. I love this quote from Paulo Coelho. It's the possibility of having a dream come true that makes life so interesting, right? And the tools to create your legacy are so simple. You begin with using a pen and note paper or a journal. You could also go ahead and just use your laptop if you need to. But my idea is something that you can get your thoughts on paper in essence. Meditate on being open to the future and what you would like to accomplish, and then transfer your notes back to your laptop, or if they're on your laptop, to save and print out. Because I do feel there's something really good. If you write with a pen, there is a physical aspect to connecting with your brain that's really good. But if you're going to use a laptop and all, do print it out so that you're actually interacting with the paper. I know it sounds silly, but sometimes that idea of writing in a journal or writing on a piece of paper by hand with a pen or pencil really has a way of getting straight into your creative juices in your brain. So just do that simple thing to get it all on paper. And then use the power of your imagination. Keep your notes of your future self close by, like on your desk, nightstand, in the bathroom, in your car, wherever it is that you see it on a regular basis. And that sounds silly, but there is the repetition that's really important that continues to influence your thought process and your thinking patterns and getting rid of some of those limiting beliefs. Be creative to find ways to remind yourself daily of the legacy you want to leave behind. What is it that you want to leave behind? The memories, the accomplishments, what is it that you want to leave behind? And focus on sparking your imagination of all of this that you want to accomplish. So the idea is to use your imagination to put yourself in the future so that you can better understand what it's going to take to go there and what kinds of things you want to make sure and do this year. Finally, consider your personal legend. What you leave behind is not what is engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others. That's Pericles. Now, when you think about that, that's exactly what Dedra was talking about, is leaving behind aspects that impacted the lives of your family, your kids, your grandkids, your spouse, anybody who is left behind when you go on, that remembers fondly those things about you, and that you made sure that you had those experiences for them to do that. So thank you so much for watching, and let me know your results. Just email me, or you can always just go on to our facebook.com, Simply Stated Sundays. I would love to hear what you found with your word. Did you pick a word? Are you going to do a vision board? And also, what about creating a legacy? Thanks again. So let's talk a little bit about creating a legacy, the steps to take. The first is to try to imagine being in the shoes of your future self. What is it that you want to be when you grow up? Next, write down what your ideal life will look like. Just dream about it. What does it seem to be for you? And continue to write about the career, the romance, the location, the finances, and the details. Just go ahead and put all of that down so that you have it to look at and to also enjoy thinking how it might impact others and the beauty of experiences together rather than just money. And finally, feel the gratitude and joy as though this life is already yours. I love this quote from Paulo Coelho. It's the possibility of having a dream come true that makes life so interesting, right? And the tools to create your legacy are so simple. You begin with using a pen and note paper or a journal. You could also go ahead and just use your laptop if you need to. But my idea is something that you can get your thoughts on paper, in essence. Meditate on being open to the future and what you would like to accomplish, and then transfer your notes back to your laptop, or if they're on your laptop, to save and print out. Because I do feel there's something really good. If you write with a pen, there is a physical aspect to connecting with your brain that's really good. But if you're going to use a laptop, and I'll, do print it out so that you're actually interacting with the paper. I know it sounds silly, but sometimes that idea of writing in a journal or writing on a piece of paper by hand with a pen or pencil really has a way of getting straight into your creative juices in your brain. So just do that simple thing to get it all on paper. And then use the power of your imagination. Keep your notes of your future self close by, like on your desk, nightstand, in the bathroom, in your car, wherever it is that you see it on a regular basis. And that sounds silly, but there is the repetition that's really important that continues to influence your thought process and your thinking patterns and getting rid of some of those limiting beliefs. Be creative to find ways to remind yourself daily of the legacy you want to leave behind. What is it that you want to leave behind? The memories, the accomplishments, what is it that you want to leave behind? And focus on sparking your imagination of all of this that you want to accomplish. So the idea is to use your imagination to put yourself in the future so that you can better understand what it's going to take to go there and what kinds of things you want to make sure and do this year. Finally, consider your personal legend. What you leave behind is not what is engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others. That's Pericles. Now, when you think about that, that's exactly what Dedra was talking about, is leaving behind aspects that impacted the lives of your family, your kids, your grandkids, your spouse, anybody who is left behind when you go on, that remembers fondly those things about you, and that you made sure that you had those experiences for them to do that. So thank you so much for watching, and let me know your results. Just email me, or you can always just go on to our facebook.com Simply Stated Sundays. I would love to hear what you found with your word. Did you pick a word? Are you going to do a vision board? And also, what about creating a legacy? Thanks again.